What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another transfer update video. And today we're going to get into the conversation about what striker Arsenal should sign this summer. Should they sign Benjamin Sesko or Viktor Gyökeres? And it's only right that I wear the shirt of probably the greatest striker to ever play the game, Ronaldo, R9 Ronaldo, Brazilian Ronaldo, the real Ronaldo, in my opinion. But I thought we'd delve a little bit more into the conversation about which striker we should buy this summer and the differences, the qualities, the strengths, the weaknesses, and also discuss why Mikel Arteta seems so struck on Benjamin Sesko when the majority of Arsenal fans are saying Viktor Gyökeres. Or should we go for somebody totally different from the two? Before we get into today's video, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Road to 100k. Get involved in the comments as well. If you've watched these two play a little bit more, add to what I'm going to say today. I've only seen them play a handful of times. I've seen Gyökeres actually play probably now more times than Sesko. So we'll get into the two players. We'll start off with Viktor Gyökeres. The one that I want Arsenal to go for out of these two, because I simply think Arsenal need a goal scorer. And this is the most informed goal scorer in Europe at the moment, and in terms of availability as well. Him and Kylian Mbappe. 39 goals in 33 league games and 7 assists, 46 goal contribution in 33 games. The year before, 29 goals in 33 games with 10 assists. People will say the Portuguese league is not the strongest, which it isn't. But he also got 6 goals in 8 Champions League games. He was joint top goal scorer in the group stage of the Champions League this season. So he's proved that he can do it on a different platform, the highest platform when it comes to club football. 3 goals in qualifying for Sweden as well in 8 games, and also 4 goals in the Cup that they won this season as well. Sporting Lisbon beating Benfica in the final. 5 goals in 9 Europa League games last season as well. So he's showing that he can do it in and around Europe. 26 years of age. He turns 27 this month in June. But I don't think Arsenal should be worrying about that age. I think these strikers can play till their mid-30s when you look at players like Kane and Benzema and Lewandowski and the way that they're still scoring goals. He came through at Brighton, ended up at Swansea and then to Coventry City. So he had a bit of a hard start in the Championship. Ended up really doing well in the Championship, 17 goals in his breakthrough season, and then got 21 goals with 12 assists in the 22-23 season where Coventry made the playoffs. That then led to the move to Sporting Lisbon, and as I said, 29 league goals in his first season and 39 league goals in his second season. In terms of comparison and strengths and weaknesses, he's likened to Diego Costa, a physical presence with pace, with power, with aggression, with fantastic finishing ability. Not amazing technically, but definitely very useful and ferocious in front of goal. His strengths are said to be his finishing. Gyökeres is a prolific goal scorer with unique striking ability. He possesses excellent dribbling skills and he's very powerful and can create chances for himself. Very good key passing, had a number of assists, double figures for assists in all competition this season. Physicality is an extremely strong and imposing figure, 6'2" and a powerhouse. Hold up play is excellent, brilliant at long shots as well, can shoot with both feet, also scores penalties, 19 penalties this season, and has also scored free kicks as well. What they've said as his weaknesses at times. First touch is not always perfect. Diego Costa, technically very sound, but not elite in that sense. Doesn't score many headers. When you look at Arsenal, we are a team that play a lot of crosses. Will that work against him? We are a team that now seem to, when we get into trouble, the long throw, the set pieces, the crosses, is this going to go against him? And also, not the most skillful in tight situations in terms of tricks, nutmeg, stepovers, whatever. He is an absolute brute, a powerhouse. somebody that I think can score a lot of goals for Arsenal. And I think Arsenal should be going for him. Expected fee is £65 million, which is just over 70 million euros. I think when you look at the striker market, I mean, we paid 65 million for Kai Havertz, and he hasn't solved any problems for Arsenal. So why not take a chance on Viktor Gyokeres, a unique goal scorer, being linked with a lot of clubs around Europe? Seems like he would join Arsenal, but maybe Arsenal are not sure whether to sign him. So that is Viktor Gyokeres. Let me know in the comments what you think about him. Let's move on to Benjamin Sesko, the Slovenian 6'5" striker who plays over there in the Bundesliga for RB Leipzig. Previously, he was at RB Salzburg, so he's moved through the Red Bull company. 22 years of age, just turned 22 years of age, 6'5", slightly taller than Erling Haaland, and very highly rated, especially by Mikel Arteta. So let's go through some of his stats and his strengths and weaknesses in terms of Benjamin Sesko. As I said, 6'5", came through at RB Salzburg over there in the Austrian league. Only scored 5 goals in his first season, 24 appearances. Then had a better season, 16 goals in 30 appearances. That led to a move to RB Leipzig in the 23-24 season. In his breakout season at Leipzig, he got 14 league goals in 31 games. This was at the end of last season. Arsenal tried to sign him that season. He decided it was too soon for him to come to the Premier League, which I respected at the time. He obviously felt he needed more time to develop. This season, probably not been as productive as he would have liked. 13 goals in 33 games, so he actually scored less goals in more games, although he did get 5 assists this season. Last season, he only got 2 assists in the league. In the German Cup, he got 4 goals in 4 games, which is good. And he got 4 goals in 8 Champions League games, which is pretty good as well. 1 in 2 in terms of the Champions League. Leipzig's season was very disappointing in terms of the Bundesliga. They didn't make the Champions League this season, and they were knocked out in the group stage of the Champions League, didn't get through the playoffs, and it was considered a very disappointing season. Leipzig actually didn't qualify for any European competition whatsoever this season, and that is another reason why RB Leipzig are very keen on selling Benjamin Sesko. In terms of his strengths, very unique profile, 6'5". Most players who are 6'5", you expect them to be target men. Tall players, very good in the air, not necessarily the quickest. Benjamin Sesko posted a top speed this season that was level with Kylian Mbappe. Mbappe considered one of the world's fastest strikers. Sesko posted a top speed that was level with Kylian Mbappe this season. Now, I think what you need to look at when you post these kind of stats is, I think the difference is Mbappe can reach those speeds consistently and very quickly. Sesko is considered a player that needs to go through the gears. With him being so tall, he doesn't necessarily reach those speeds as quick. He needs further distance to reach that. So I'm not saying here Sesko's as quick as Mbappe. What I'm saying is at his top speed, he has matched Kylian Mbappe. So very, very quick for a player of that kind of height, but maybe doesn't have the acceleration where he's explosive with the likes of, Vinicius Jr. and Mbappe and those very quick players that we think of. Sesko is a very adaptable striker. I think this is one of the main reasons that Mikel Arteta wants him. Again, 6'5", you would expect him to be a target man that plays on the last defender and maybe wins his flick-ons. Niall Quinn-esque. But he's not like that. Because Leipzig play in a 2 and he plays up front with Lewis Openda, they very much drift and move around. Sesko likes to drop deep, get the ball. He drifts wide, puts crosses in, and of course gets in the area as well. I think that is a key reason why Mikel Arteta is targeting Sesko. We've seen in the past When he walked into the club and Aubameyang played as that out-and-out striker, he didn't seem to like it. He ended up moving Aubameyang wide, put Lacazette up front, and Lacazette was dropping deep a lot to get on the ball. He's like Havertz up there, who drifts a lot as well. Marino, they drop into that sort of attacking midfield role, something that Sesko can very much do. Unique striking ability. If you've seen some of his goal highlights, shots from 30 yards out, great striking ability. He's able to shoot from distance. Physical presence as well, 6'5", of course. Brilliant in the air, very tall, and a very good jumper as well. His off the ball movement is very good. He's clever and makes very smart runs for his opponents. As I said, he's versatile, can drop deep, stay high, or drift wide. And it says he has huge potential. A lot of coaches even saying they think he has the potential to be one of the best strikers in world football over the next few years. As I said, potential, but is very, very highly rated. In terms of his weaknesses, number one, prolific goal scorer is something he's lacking at the moment. He has to turn 13, 14 goals a season in the league into 20, 25 goals a season if he is going to be the main man at Arsenal. He has to push those numbers up. So people are saying that in games he often needs 2 or 3 chances to maybe score one goal, which is something that he needs to improve on. Physical contribution. Now, people are actually saying, even though he's 6'5", he needs to be a little bit more dominant. Obviously, he's only 21, 22 years of age. You're still continuing to grow physically at that age. So maybe he's still not dominating the big centre halves, who are that much more imposing. Could he go and bully a Rudiger or a Van Dijk or a Saliba or these aggressive centre backs? That maybe is something he has to add to his game as well. And it also says his pressing needs to improve. Leading the line by himself, one of the things that Arteta is going to demand is that the high press. It's very different playing in a front two, where you and Openda are sharing that. Now you would have to do that at Arsenal as the main man. Can he occupy 2 centre-backs by himself? So very interesting there. Let me know what you think around Benjamin Sesko. Overall, just a few of the stats. We did speak about them, but obviously in terms of last season and the comparison, both strikers played 33 games each in their leagues. 13 goals for Sesko, 39 goals for Gyökeres, so he scored treble the amount of goals. 5 assists, sorry, for Sesko, 7 assists for Gyökeres, so he got more assists. Shots per 90, Sesko 2.6, 4.5 for Gyökeres. That's a stat that some people think sometimes is better when it's lower, because maybe that means you're more prolific, you're scoring goals from less chances. Some people like it to be higher because maybe you're finding a way of getting more shots off per game, but maybe you're not as prolific. It depends how you view it. Gyökeres plays up front by himself, Sesko in a two. You're always likely to shoot more. Conversion rates, Gyökeres 28.1%, which is more than 1 in 4 shots he's scoring. Sesko's at about 19.1, which is basically 1 in 5. Key passes per 90, 2 for Gyökeres, 0.7 for Sesko, so less than 1. 1.5 dribbles for Sesko, 1.9 for Gyökeres. Who scored rating? 6.92 is the average rating of the league season for Sesko. 8.08 is Gyökeres. Now, I'm trying to keep this as unbiased as possible. The numbers, those stats will all lead everybody towards Gyökeres. There's no doubt about that. More prolific, more shots, more aggression. He feels like the more finished article in terms of what we need at Arsenal, a prolific goal scorer to try and win the title of the Champions League next season. I think what Arsenal are looking at with Sesko is they believe potentially that he can reach a higher level than Gyökeres with his technical ability, with his adaptability. And you've got to look at the fact he's playing for a team that in Germany this season have finished 7th. They're nowhere near one of the best teams in German football. Gyökeres is playing for the current champions of Portugal. So naturally, they're dominating week after week. They're dominating the ball. They're creating more chances. Sesko is more up against it, playing for RB Leipzig. Now, It's whether Arsenal are willing to wait or not. Arteta is under so much pressure. You've got a player in Gyokeres that is already at this level. You've got a player in Sesko that is at this level. But Arsenal think eventually Sesko's going to reach that level. But how long is that going to take? There's no guarantees that that actually happens. And what kind of pressure would Mikel Arteta be under if he signed Sesko and he didn't hit the ground running? Also, it's almost not fair on Sesko, because if Sesko joins Arsenal and he's struggling, people are going to criticise him. But is he even ready to take on that mantle and be the main man at Arsenal? If Arsenal had a top striker already, I think Sesko would be a fantastic signing. Young player, huge potential, totally different profile. I think he would be great. But because we're looking at him to be the main player, and we've got Havertz, who Arteta loves, it just feels like a very difficult situation. Now, in terms of Gyökeres, though, you do have to look at it and say he's playing for the best team in Portugal at the moment. You look at a lot of his goals, he's too quick, he's too powerful. Defensively, a lot of those teams in Portugal do not look great. Is he able to come to the Premier League and just dominate people like that? We know how difficult the Premier League can be. You even play an Everton. It's difficult. Tarkovsky, they're physical. They've come from the lower leagues. You can't just run through teams like that. So is Gyökeres adaptable enough that if he can't physically dominate defenders, is he smart enough to still find a way of scoring goals? The thing I would say at Arsenal is, if you look at Marino's form and what he did up front, he's not a striker. And he looked like over the course of a full season, he could have produced decent numbers for Arsenal. So I think if you get Gyökeres or you get Sesko, you would hope that either one of these players could come to the club and hit the back of the net on a regular basis. I personally think this is one of the biggest decisions that Mikel Arteta is going to have to make at the club, because you've got Jesus, he's injured. We're going to have to try and find a way of selling him. Havertz, for me, I would be trying to sell him, but clearly Arteta will keep him next season. If you sign another striker for big money and he doesn't solve our goal scoring issue, you are then stuck with Jesus, Havertz, and whoever they sign, with no room to maneuver. You then can't go and buy another striker in the next window unless you probably get rid of two of them, which he doesn't look like he wants to with Havertz. It's a key decision. By the way, I'm not sitting here for 1 second saying these two solve the problem for sure. Maybe they should go and get Viktor Osimhen, who scored goals at Napoli, who scored goals at Galatasaray, who scored goals for Nigeria. There are other strikers out there that we could potentially look at, but we know these are the two on the radar. They both look like strikers that Arsenal can get, and they're very different profiles. So let's see what happens. Let me know in the comments what you think. I've tried to be unbiased today. I'm looking at the positives if we get Sesko or Gyökeres. I'm looking at the things that they may lack if we get them. As I said, Sesko very adaptable. Gyökeres very much more a number 9 that occupies the 18-yard box. But then some people say Sesko suits Arteta's system better. But then I think Arteta's system hasn't led to trophies. So maybe we need to adapt from that system a little bit and go and get the lethal number 9 that doesn't move out of the 18-yard box as much. Look at Haaland. He doesn't run all over the place. He plays pretty much for the 18-yard box. City ended up winning the treble. So let's see. People, get in the comments. Let me know what you think. Hit the like button and subscribe. What striker would you buy? Gyökeres will probably cost around 65 million. Sesko around 70 million. Two interesting profiles. I'm pretty sure Arsenal will end up signing one of them. We'll see you all soon, people. And let's see what striker we end up signing. Bless.